Hello fellow adventurers and collectors, Filmaholic here, and on today's episode I've got a bit of a story to tell you all. Now, it was late one night that I was perusing Shop Goodwill, I think it was, and I came across this figure. I didn't know what it was, but for some reason I was really drawn to it, and I looked around on the internet. I didn't find a lot of information about it, and the information that was there was either really dated or just didn't have a lot to offer, so I looked on the other selling apps. I was able to find a couple more of these figures, and I figured I'd buy them because, like I said, there wasn't a lot of information out there. So, with that being said, from what I do know, these characters came out in the early 2000s. It was part of a series that was going to come out of books, actually, called Realm of the Rodents, and these two were the only figures that were able to be released because, unfortunately, the line didn't take off. But yeah, they're very interesting to say the least, and as you can see, this is why I got it caught my eye, because I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, especially in the 1/6 scale. So I figured I'd hunt these down and try to make a video on them, because I can tell a lot of care went into these figures, and I find it rather sad that the line didn't continue, And to summarize it quickly, I pretty much consider it almost ahead of its time, where the technology didn't really meet up with the ambition behind the project. So yeah, the story and the excerpts here you can see all throughout the packaging. And another thing that really caught my eye about the box itself is that it has actual photographs of the figure. And for something to come out in the early 2000s to exhibit that is really fascinating to me. So, of course, that's what caught my attention. So, along with this Otak figure, I got this, and I'm not entirely sure what it is. It almost seems like a salesman kind of gimmick, where they were giving them out to distributors or something. But you get a couple postcards here, and again, it features that fantastic photography along with this high quality paper. So, like I said, the quality is seen throughout the figures, and unfortunately the age of the figures doesn't really help the articulation, but we'll get there. But again, you see these excerpts of the story all throughout the packaging and leaflets and all that, so you can really tell that the person behind this really wanted to create this universe for these characters to live in. So I find it fascinating on that aspect as well. So as we open up this package for Otak, you can kind of see the level of care that kind of went into it, because not only was it twist tied and the packaging was formed around the figure, but there's also this nice backdrop along with the packaging. And not only that, these two figures also came with stands, and that's something you don't even see nowadays, to be honest with you, unless you're paying for like a high-end Hot Toys or something like that. And mind you, from what I've seen in my research, is that these figures were $40 when they were released. So for $40 in 2004, that's pretty good if you ask me. And I forgot to film the unboxing for this, but here you can see the actual backdrop that I was referring to. So no stone was unturned when it came to these figures. And again, I feel bad that the line didn't really pick up, but case in point, with the amount of care, you can actually see the little insignia on the stand itself, and it's embossed in there, or engraved in there, I should say. So it's nice to see that they were thinking ahead of that, in terms of that, I should say. And I should mention that the manufacturer for these is called Lazy Bonds or something like that, but they unfortunately went defunct. And if you look at the website now, it's a dead link, so you can't really find information on it there. And most of my information that I got came from like this one review from way back when, and even then he was just commenting on how well crafted these figures are, and having them in hand, you can definitely see that. It's just that the shortcomings come with the technology that they had at the time, and it just wasn't marketable back then, unfortunately. And for me, these remind me of the Gorgonites from Small Soldiers. Not sure why they don't necessarily look like them, but that's the kind of motif that I can see in it. And especially this Otak figure, it reminds me of some Warhammer, Vermintide or something like that. So I can see him being utilized as a villain in a lot of photography or something. And as you can see with all these accessories, they're really well detailed for what they are. And, you know, to my surprise, he holds all the accessories pretty well. And like I said, it seems like there was no stone unturned for these figures, and it's just a shame that the line couldn't continue. And here is Cricket, by the way. I should be saying the names as we go along here, but I'm just excited to showcase these figures because I, again, just came across these at random, and I was very excited to actually get both of them. Unfortunately, there's only 2 in the line, so it's relatively easy to complete in that regard, but it's also hard to actually hunt them down. These 2 were fortunately in their box, so I was the first one to unbox them, essentially. So again, it's just crazy to see the amount of care that went into these figures. And sure, I know there was a review of the book that I saw that said it was like a cash grab, but to me, I don't really see that. When I think cash grab, I think those bottle shampoo figures that are 5 points of articulation at best. This, to me, seems like someone was genuinely trying to create a universe and have it exist in our world too. And to see it kind of not be seen by a lot of people, that's a shame, you know. As a fellow creative, I would want a lot of this stuff to be seen, but alas, this little video is all these figures will get, unfortunately. So if you're able to hunt them down, I'm almost hesitant not to recommend them, in the sense that the articulation is a bit dated. They don't have the best range of movement, I should say. And as you can see right here, that's pretty much what you can do with this guy. He's got his own proprietary body. Both of these figures have their own proprietary bodies. So again, I really think the creator behind this was just trying to, you know, get his ideas out there. And it's a shame we don't really have that nowadays, where everything has to be tied to a license or what have you. So I'm just doing my little part to kind of get these figures on the radar at the very least. And if you find an interest in them, I highly recommend at least trying to get some form of representation of this line in your collection. You know, they're kind of hard to come by, and they're not necessarily expensive. It just depends on who you're gonna hit, you know. So yeah, I honestly don't have a plan for these 2. I mean, they don't necessarily fit in my collection. It was just morbid curiosity at the very least, and the more I looked into the line and the more I researched, the more they grew on me, you know, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's the story of how I bought 2 figures just because of one listing on Shop Goodwill. You know, but at the very least, I just wanted this video to just kind of bring some light to these characters, because I see a lot of care in them. You know, whether or not you agree with that, that's on you. But to me, I think they're a good representation of, if you've got the gung-ho, the gusto to do it, you can pretty much create anything. And especially now with 3D printers and all that, it's kind of given me motivation to work on my own stuff. But it's also kind of a warning in the sense that you can't put your eggs in one basket, you know. Unfortunately, this line died early on, so you wouldn't be able to see the possibilities. So that's just me rambling. I appreciate you guys checking this video out, and at the very least, I will leave links to the sources that I used. So with that said, I thank you guys for checking this random video out. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, and it's definitely not what I have on my catalog so far. So yeah, again, these are nice figures, and if this video piqued your interest, I recommend looking them up. So with that said, thank you all for watching. If you feel so inclined, please like, comment, and or subscribe. I very much appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.